Hello and welcome to Dripping with Meaning. My name is Nicole Marie Campbell, and today's show is going to be a great one. So, we have the wonderful Mr. Steve Noack, and he is a psychic healer and 0 point healing practitioner. Steve, at a young age, was struck by a motor vehicle, and this event bioelectrically connected him to the quantum field. So during Steve's near death experience, he experienced sitting with a being comprised solely of light. And the being of light revealed to Steve the quantum field and its connection to humanity's healing contained in the divine blueprint. Steve's gift enables him to stimulate emotional and physical healing from any distance through quantum entanglement and photonics. So, without further ado, I'm just going to bring him in and we're going to start the show and see what this wonderful mystery is all about. Hello, Steve. How are you this
Hello,
evening? Hi.
how's it going?
Good.
Hello to everybody out there as well.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining the network and thank you for joining our show this evening. Um, so, we had one or two relating moments where we got to know more about the special gift and power that you got there when you had your near death experience.
hmm
Do you want to share with the audience a little bit more, maybe?
Sure. Might as well start at the near-death experience. Um, I was 4 years old. I was driving a big wheel, a plastic tricycle, basically made out of nothing. I was leaving a driveway to cross the street, and I went in between two cars, and I was struck by a drunk driver, run completely over, went underneath the car, and then I was dragged probably another 30 feet to the end of the road. And during that time, I left my body, um, basically collapsed lungs, broken ribs, broken shoulder blade, broken collarbone, a bunch of things that brought me to that death state. Um, I couldn't get many more details out of my mom about the specifics of vitals and all that. But what had happened was I saw myself, I was looking down at myself. I saw my eyes roll in the back of my head. And then the next thing I knew, everything faded to black and then opened back up again. And I was sitting in a room with someone else I didn't know, but I was sitting. There was nothing else there, no medical equipment. And I was leaning on the person next to me, who I thought was a person at the time. I had my head down and I opened my eyes, and the first thing I saw was long, like white silver hair, the bottom of a robe or tunic, and it was kind of the same color, silverish white. And when I had turned to my side to see who it was, the being had a hood and no face where the face should be. It was only light. And the light made me want to lean in. And when I leaned in, I got the impression that now what I was seeing was heaven as I was being pulled into that, where the colors were, there were so many more colors than our
Wow.
world. The colors were breathing, like they were alive. They had their own life. There were children there. There were old people. There were children like laughing and playing.
Hmm.
And I was struck with just an instant knowing that this place has no anger, no pain, no hate, no misery. And I wanted to go there. And they basically told me it wasn't time yet and that they needed to talk to me, show me a few things, but I wouldn't remember all of it until I was older.
Wow.
Because at 4 years old, how do you comprehend some of the things without meaning behind them, you know?
Right. And you're 4 years old. And so, although you're in that state of heaven and understanding getting this mission, you then have to go back into a hospital moment where you're fighting for your life, I would assume.
hmm Yeah, at least for a few days. I still have the newspaper clippings, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
But my mom doesn't really remember too much. We'll say I had a kind of a rough childhood, but I think that's all part of the journey
Mm,
of learning how to help others and heal others, is going through it and walking through it. and
Yeah,
then
most
witnessing that light be reignited in you again and again,
definitely.
then you know it's there. You know it's never going to leave you. But during that, they showed me the quantum field.
Hmm.
Um, they showed me as a beam of light in the center of what I can describe as like a wagon wheel or medicine wheel.
Oh,
And
okay.
in this beam of light, I was pure, I was whole, I was love, and I knew it. And I sent, or humans sent their energy out to the outer rim of the wheel and then received it back to experience reality. So that we were spending our sacred energy basically. And depending on where we spent it, it would honor us back. If we put it in a low place, then it wouldn't honor us back, and it would
Wow.
basically cause bondage to our energy. It would lower our frequency.
Mm.
Um, so they told me that you can do the life review while you're here. As soul retrieval, you can retrieve these lost pieces of your soul back through trauma, different experiences we have in life, things like that.
Hmm.
I don't know if you
And
want to
so
break
it,
them.
yeah, so like the power wheel automatically, I thought yin yang. I thought like, and I've read a lot about soul retrieval in the sense that we can come into our many multidimensional selves, like the lives we've had before, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly see that we keep episoding ourselves in order to make growth and to make understanding. What I would say through my studies is wisdom, and that's why we take on our bodies, is so that we can share in that here on the planet. Our bodies are sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They showed me how well they told me to. Okay, this is kind of like the formula, and then I began following Jesus the Christ formula, not Christian, no
Hmm.
religion. I was following the way he taught and what he was teaching about, and he was teaching us how to ascend while we were in our bodies.
Beautiful.
Um, see, what was I just thinking of? Um, I lost it.
Okay, so you're just in the space of trying to figure out where and how you chose. So, like, which entity you went to in order to sort of understand what is ascension and what is having this light body and what is your example, like a mentorship, right?
Right. And I'll go through some of the experiences because what had happened, and I should probably maybe back up a step,
Hmm.
was they told me they would be back. Basically, at some point in my life, we're coming back
Hmm.
um, for ascension or the evolution of humanity in order to help humanity expand their consciousness and their being.
Mm.
Uh, Evolution, in short. So, when I was around probably about age 33, I had another really bad car accident. I flipped the car over 5 times, doing about 75. There was 5 people in the car. When I came to a stop, there was only 2 left in the car. 3 had flown out as the car rolled.
Hmm.
Everybody landed on the grass. Everybody walked away, but I was brought into surgery right away.
Mm.
And I started to get very antsy and wanted to leave. And right as soon as I was just about to get up and leave and say, screw this,
Hmm.
and I don't know why, I was overcome with this, just hit with all this energy that I've never felt on that level or scale before
Mm.
of anxiety and fear and worry. And as soon as that happened, a peace came over me from head to toe. And it was like I was wrapped in a cocoon. And it was warm. I knew I was safe. I knew I was okay. And the same voice that had spoken to me during my near death at 4 spoke to me at that moment. And then that's when my mind just, boom, it was like it opened into another dimension. And I started to see silhouettes and all these different spirit apparitions passing by me. I started to hear them for like months. I couldn't shut it off.
Hmm.
I would experience seeing things and feeling things before they would happen, people's thoughts,
Mm.
people's hunger. And it became so overwhelming, I thought I was losing my mind.
So, how did you find in this quantum field of your own as you're being awakened through this 30, which 33 is so significant. Like, that's like, wow. When I heard 33, I'm like, because
Hmm.
Christ, I think that was his ascension point too, wasn't it? 33.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I like to read, I'm really into the Gnostic books, but I like to read something from each religion
Yeah.
because when I had my NDE, I found out it was all the same, but we were the ones identifying it in the physical and giving it names and giving it labels,
Wow.
but that it actually all came from love. And there was this thread of love running through everything, all living beings, and
Mm,
which began everything, and
yeah.
that we could return to that original state.
Wow. And so, with that life work, where you started from your accident point of 33, how did you reclaiming your blueprint or the polarities that we're going through, or what is the quantum field? Like, was it just research analysis? Was it more getting your answers from within? Was it time and nature? Like, what brought you into like how to handle these abilities?
I'd say it was a combination of things, but before anything, I had to self destruct. And that's important for people to know. If you're at a breaking point, then you're about to break through.
Yeah.
Because I had to, at the time, I had other car accidents. I played sports. I was addicted to pain medication. I wasn't as present as I should be as a father, as a
Mm.
partner. And there were just so many things. It all had to crash down in order for me to get to such a point to where I said, I can't do this anymore. God, just take me, take all this. And once I started doing that and started intuitively receiving the information that I should not be creating lower energy and putting it outside of me.
Oh,
Anger, worry, fear, hate. I should not be giving others pain that I had already given enough people pain, that I had already caused enough of a mess. And I became self accountable to what I was creating, to myself. I began observing myself as a character in a movie that I was playing, and would I like this character? Is this character a dick, or is he a nice person? Is he the hero, or is he the villain? And when I could look at myself as being part of a play,
hmm.
then I could judge myself a little easier.
And so I think that's kind of immaculate because even in the cards that I drew before we started, it talked about your journey through the early reflections and then the going through the dark phase and then coming into this natural order of growth with divine order and love, which is the Sisters of the Shadow card, which is a really beautiful card.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah. And then I got, in the end, we were just speaking on, because I wanted to mention accountability, and every shaman path has that, I think it's the most beautiful thing of all that our dark, even WG, who owns this network,
Mhm.
puts out, our dark is our spark. What actually occurred through all those times, and then that final episode in order to get you to graduate into the healer self was, as you said, like it was pretty self destructive.
Yeah, I had to walk through all this pain in order to understand it and feel it so that I could understand it in others and help them. And when I got to a point where I started to realize, okay, this is sacred, everything started to set in after I woke, basically broke my mind for a while,
Hmm.
and started to address all the energies that were around me. I figured out, okay, these energies that I'm seeing around me are in the screen, and it was the screen that I was shown during my NDE. Now they're all around me and they're being broadcast by
Hmm.
me,
Hmm.
and they began to tell me things like, you're not worthy of love, you'll never succeed, basically you're going to hell, you're worthless.
Oh, wow.
And as this, one day it just clicked intuitively. This was how
Hmm.
I treated myself for years. This was how I talked to myself. These are me.
Wow.
So in order for me to dissolve that, to dissolve and resolve, I had to start creating different energy. So as this is happening, a different personality is fighting with my old personality and trying to integrate. And
Hmm.
I started to need to, well, I was guided to a bunch of churches, different denominations, tried to talk to people about what I was feeling and going through. because it was extreme. It was like somebody turned the amplification on my feelings all the way up, and I couldn't process them. So the longer I went through that, the more I started to push everything away so that I could be with just me and this energy, and then not giving that energy out to others. Like, let's say I had abandonment from my mother that I identified. Well, okay, I see how that abandonment played into my relationship when I would push people away. That person doesn't deserve my mom, me, and their own problem. So I was like, I'm going to give this to the power that I know that's within me, whether that's my spirit, the Christ, Krishna, Buddha, God, whatever you want to call it.
So
And it
you
became,
yourself just decided to start calling it inward.
mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
what
well, I was
happened then? What
most likely shown along the way through
what got you
dreams.
from I'm just going to be more accountable, which I think is very much so like a very good phase one of
Mm-hmm.
personal spiritual development, right? I'm going to remain accountable to I'm going to use my power to heal other people's lives.
A lot of it came intuitively because as this light started to expand and increase within me, this light that said they were coming back, as soon as it started to expand and increase within me, whenever I created a lower frequency, lower vibrational thought, instantly it would hit me back. And it would be like, no, that does not feel good. No, that does not feel good in me. And I would have that instant self reflection with this mirror that seemed to exist within me. Um, and then I started to understand how it worked with physical pain. If I wasn't being self reflective, self accountable, my physical pain would change as well.
Mm.
And once I made that distinction, um, all the pain medication went away. I basically quit everything that the carnal self wanted,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and solely governed myself through commanding my energetic system. Creating the right kind of charge in my nervous system would create the right resonance for my soul.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's beautiful. So the cards are saying that it was a lot of smoke and mirrors for you, most definitely. And there was, a point of release that had to become more willing. Like you were really, it was hard for you to jump over that and to just want to let it go, right?
Yeah, I was holding on to these past identities that thought, oh, you were worthy if you had a pretty girlfriend. A lot of the things that came from my childhood of not
Mm-hmm.
feeling worthy, they
Mm-hmm.
transferred into my wants or what I thought I needed when I really didn't need that.
Wow. And
And you
so, like,
walk you walk through a couple,
yeah.
you know, what people call twin flame. I realize it's just the deep unification of yourself within, and it's an experience you walk through. But I had to walk through a couple of those, see myself reflected back at me, and be
Mm,
like, man, that's not how I want to feel, not how I want to be.
yeah.
The more and more I got into that dark state, the more
Mhm.
and more I craved the light. And the quicker I could return and the shorter the distance became.
Yeah, and so as you're like unfolding this connection to Akasha, and what you do in your work right now is the claiming of your true blueprint in this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime, right? And that's just like leaps and hurdles over waiting, wanting, or even having someone channel a result for you. I mean,
Right. Because
I'm gonna get it right away. I'm an open channel, so
my
it's not
my
gonna be
experience with Christ wasn't in the church. I
right.
can say it was a physical representation or not that
Yes.
came here to physically complete a message that was repeated so many times before.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I have notebooks and notebooks where I would just start writing and start writing. And one of the things was our divine blueprint being contained in the quantum field.
Mhm.
And then the memory would come back where they would show me, hey, you're in the field and it looks like a blueprint of creation. This is the original part of creation, and everything was built on top of this.
Hmm.
And they're showing me the original part, and they're like, you can get back to that original state of being.
Wow.
As you were,
Yeah,
when you're born as a
because we're
baby,
sort
you're
of in a
all love.
divine matrix. Is the last
Exactly.
card there. Um, So as you're expanding, you're having these visions, you're understanding how to center yourself. You refer to it as 0 point in the quantum field. Like, where did you get your inspiration for that?
0 point came through intuitive messaging, and then I looked and saw that other practitioners were doing it.
Hmm.
And then what I like to do is tie the science behind it. So I started to research 0 point field theory. What it is, it's the maximum ground of an energetic system. In this state, you basically are neutral in motion. You're not bound to one side or bound to the other. You're perfectly
Wow.
present without any interference, because we're tuners and we pick up interference in our field, and then we run these cycles of programs through us, which they also showed me during the NDE. Was we send out information and it comes back through us, and it basically interprets reality for us. Like this table is solid, but it's
Wow.
not actually solid. It's in a state of vibration, molecules, but my mind thinks it's solid. um, I lost track there. So
No, no, it's good. You're
yeah,
just getting
0 point
lost.
field. So in the zero
Yeah.
point field, I'm basically, because of where I went and the shadow work I've done, purification, unifying my positive, negative, divine masculine, divine feminine, I'm able to create a large enough charge with my mind and my center to where I could bring to a person into a state where they release their traumatized, all these lower charges that tied them as an aspect of personality, basically in their consciousness, programs that just run repeatedly and decide our behavior for us. They run in kind of like what I see as a circuit, an imprint that's in our neurological system.
Hmm. And you're doing that through long distance or also in person?
Oh, I do both. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said they.
Well, I know for others, it's like for me, just the fact that you're continuing your path and that you're dedicated is like so incredible. And to share, especially because now with in the spirituality field, so many people in the discussion of what is 5D and what is a dimension and how far can we push this. And
Mhm.
I've always felt, and my guides have shown me, because it's always right here and now within me and all around me, because I see the field too. This is helping me to put more definition on, what it is to be on earth and to share in this energy that I'm downloaded like probably 5 to 6 times a day with, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you can connect yourself to love, no matter what you're doing, if you can create that feeling of love and just practice it over and over and over,
mhm,
you'll remember how to create it. And that's going to get you into that state where you release all those lower ties. I
mhm,
just learned how to control the charges coming and going in my nervous system.
mhm,
Obviously, protect the data you consume is a big part of that, because like I was explaining to you the last time we talked, our waking consciousness as we're awake is the operating system. Our subconscious is the hard drive. That's where we store all our programs. And we can command these programs to be uninstalled, install a program of divine blueprint from the Akashic records, from the
mhm,
quantum field, and start running these programs of love through us.
mhm.
Um,
The original imprint,
mhm,
the original Earth. I read about it in, I think it's The Secret. I have it on Audible. I read the whole entire. Oh, The Secret Book of Wisdom.
mhm,
It's about a vibrational machinery that was here in the beginning and will be here in the end. And no one can go near this thing unless you have a vibrational frequency that can handle it. And the people that can basically handle it are the ones that can ignite it. But people seek it out. It's
mhm,
apparently in Tibet or something like that. And the guy that does the whole discussion on Audible, it's a great book on Audible for listening before bed. He discusses that it's been so many generations of humanoid, seven in, I think we're at the eighth right now, and there's been so many deviants and different things with the male female energy that we have all these different
mhm,
personalities. So we have choice factor on, whatever personality you want to play for that lifetime, right?
mhm.
So if you're going straight back to your akasha and you're doing that in this lifetime, then that's an interesting thought for sure.
Yeah, I wanted to become the singular expression of love or God. And the Christ to me, the Buddha, the Krishna, is a singular expression of love. And
Mm,
for many, many years, would not spend my energy on lust, desire, want. I would rest that wanting energy with God, reset myself to a place of peace,
mm,
and allow that to come and go. And I
mm,
understood a lot of this stuff was charges coming from my subconscious. You know, you would get these impulses or charges of behavioral patterns, and
mm.
to allow that to dissipate and then fill myself with light again, allow these personality aspects to come out and dissipate, because what I was after was a singular expression. So I wanted all of my multidimensional selves in the now, all the energy of pain I ever caused anybody in my life. I claimed it back, you know, through that singularity, through the law of one, Krishna, Buddha, Christ. I commanded these energies to come back so that I could take accountability, because I knew I couldn't move forward without doing that. Without being accountable to, like, people talk about Lucifer being bad, okay? The archangel over earth, you know, the second heaven. Until I became accountable to that part of myself, there's no way I was getting past it.
Mm-hmm. Because you cannot, it's as above, so below. You cannot actually understand something here if
Mm-hmm.
you haven't been through it, have cleansed it, or desire to understand it and not rub up against it, but offer it love or offer it understanding. Because once you do that, you switch the frequency and you elevate the frequency higher of your own wellness and your own well being. You
Right. You have to start creating different charges to release these programs. Um, that was part of my probably middle journey as well, was just learning that if I introduce a different thought charge to this, a different feeling, then it's going to release that pattern. And I started to really look at patterns.
know? Hmm.
And then I realized patterns were binding, they were bondage. They were keeping me on some sort of track that didn't allow me to expand.
Yeah, we
Um,
talked about that. So, can I ask you some questions about your view on disease and bondage, maybe a little bit on pharmaceuticals if you want to discuss it or not?
sure.
But do you feel that the human construct to hold illness is also based in this quantum field and based on something that isn't real?
What was the first word you said?
The that the use of disease and illness as we do in the mind, like we label it, we say cancer, and then we go and we
Right. We make
perform
it
this.
much worse and much bigger. And
Yeah.
yes, I obviously I was shown things that were behind creation. So as I was able to access more and more of those memories, it came to my understanding that there was frequencies behind everything, and frequencies tell the matter and the molecules how to form. And the frequency of disease most oftentimes came from a disconnect or a trauma or something we tucked away in our early years, that we couldn't fully feel at that moment, and then it
Hmm.
manifested later, as
Hmm.
well as some of it being karmic for this life cycle and certain past lives and karma that's
Hmm.
rising up
Yeah.
because the frequency is increasing on the planet, the solar flares are increasing, and
Hmm.
you're just talking about polarity again,
Hmm.
lower energy, higher energy.
Yeah, and there's that. So there's sort of like a grand union that my mind, like I was just shown as I looked up there, there's this sort of grand union going on around us in our universe, tapping into Earth now with this accessibility through our photons, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, like when we're experiencing downloads, like I started with mild downloads, so I might get a download like once a week. And it was actually kind of groovy. I could easily adhere to the energy shift because I've been using full blown healing on my body and Reiki on my body since I was
Mm-hmm.
very, very young. So I was knowing how to do it, conquer it, and get negativity out of my system every day unconsciously. But with the onset of COVID and my emotional reactions, and I guess you could say maybe my karmatic patterning, I kind of took it
I would
and
say your test of faith.
well, no, I think it was, I kept going as hard as I could to help others and to do what, as Buddhists, we believe is the proper thing, compassionate action. And like I live sedentarily and understand it, although I'm in the Western world, that there's more going on all the time than what meets the eye, right? So I didn't want to jump out of the game there at the second year, but then when I decided to work from home, my mind introduced me to these dark places that you're speaking about tonight. So it's been incredibly influential for me to hear that it's really myself. It's
Well,
parts of
it's
myself that I've had to come to terms with at this point in my journey now. Yeah.
yeah, because we're on one big experience and we're learning our energetic system right now, and that we are how to operate from our soul instead of our body and just skin level. And you have to walk through those dark places to understand that they're a teacher. You know,
Hmm.
it's like nothing was going to change until I started controlling my thoughts, until I started understanding nobody's in charge of how I feel but me. It's my body,
Hmm.
it's my nervous system. You know, all those things made it my inner world. And once I cleaned that up and did the work there, a lot of time spent purifying, spent in nature, spent in surrender, um, and again releasing those patterns, and also commanding the lower energy to obey, because knowing is a very strong signal. If you
Yeah.
know something's going to happen versus question it and just ask for it, I'm asking for this. No, I know this is going to happen. I know that I have authority over all this lower energy of disease. Um, the first thing I did with COVID was bind the frequency that governed the disease. Uh, and I've had many long term exposures. I haven't had it yet, knock on wood, but I know
Hmm.
why. I understand there needs to be a frequency in place before it can exist in my body. And the higher I vibrate, the more photons I can send out, the more of my nervous system I have, the larger charge I can create in my center. And this is
Right. And so
by your
therefore,
mind.
even if disease enters, then you know you're like souped
Yeah,
up
it's
to
it's
get it.
not going to have a chance to form.
Yeah, it's preventative, I think. I think this is like the healing method of what the great monks and anyone who practiced that incredible intensity of energy and light. Now, did I think that that's what I was doing? I didn't realize that's what I've been doing. I just kind of see all of it and have been at my friends trying to not feel like a lunatic at times because I'm constantly seeing energies, right? Moving
Hmm.
and forming around me. And now that I can accept it a little bit more in your theory, using your theory, that is actually me that wanted the experience. It's kind of like I feel like I'm on, a roller coaster now. Like it's not so bad. And
Hmm.
this is it. This is what I came for, right? So the affirmation card of the day that came up was my faith has the power to turn trauma into healing, conflict into growth, and fear into love.
Right. And I'm speaking about not like faith, like people talk about faith. I'm talking like the faith of a Christ, where you absolutely know, no, I don't need your, and I don't know if we're allowed to say this. No, I don't need your anything to enter my body to protect me. No, I don't need
Oh, that.
what you're offering to keep me safe,
Thank you. Yeah.
you know? But concrete knowing, and knowing like as simple as if I were to ask you, do you know how to get dressed in the morning? Yeah, of course. That's a silly
Hmm.
question.
Right.
I know how to get dressed.
Hmm.
It should be that easy. There shouldn't be so much thinking involved. No, I know this energy is going to move from my body. No,
Yeah.
I know it's going to move and heal because I'm commanding it to heal, and it has to obey me. It obeys us when we have enough love in us, when we have
Mhm.
cultivated enough love and acceptance of others,
Mhm.
and started to eliminate the separation between ourselves and others, started understanding they were all here in this divine play to bring us closer to our true identity as love, you
Mm.
know, then it's a lot easier. A lot easier when you can gain control over your own nervous system.
And that, in a lot of cases, goes back to mindfulness training, allostasis, which is taught by Cambridge University. I took the course on. And they, with this kind of work in theory for their programs, would probably be like a benchmark of everyone's success because it goes into such personal ownership of the complete healing. I'm 12 years into a journey and I've had near death experiences too. I wasn't meant to use my right arm again. And I was in a bad accident and I was waiting 40 days without a surgeon. And I was in a hostile living arrangement and didn't think I would ever be able to use my arm again.
Mm-hmm.
And they did end up finding a surgeon and put it back together and all that. But that created an addiction for me. So my body had to learn that. Poverty had to learn all those levels of understanding. And now I think I agree with you that when I'm looking at other people's lives and I change the definition of them, my energy glows more. And as I'm watching their lives change, I accept and I love them more.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on a homeless initiative right now in my community where we're trying to change the definition of homelessness and be able to look at our brothers and sisters of the streets as human beings or beings of their own intention and to assist them more. I'm trying to discuss with the committee a mentorship program for them that they can find some honor in their lives and have some love and commitment as well.
I found part of that for me was literally 1 year. And I allow this energy to guide me wherever. It brought me to so many different places where I'd be like, okay, we're going here. Okay, we're doing this. So 1 year I just started a garden. And as I'm gardening, not knowing how to garden, not having the right tools, not having the right stuff, but I was doing it, I started to enjoy it. I started to understand that God was showing me what I was doing to my soul, what was happening to my soul. He was showing me on the outside, in the physical. And the more I did that, the more I started to unite that inner outer relationship and really see how everything was connected to how I felt. The world I'm experiencing is going to be lived through my nervous system. If this
Hmm.
is not clear, then the world on the outside is not going to be pleasing to me. And the
Hmm.
only one who can be accountable for my triggers, things like that, was me. So instead of
Wow.
bringing my trigger outside, creating more negative energy, then my triggers would be addressed right away
And
within
how long
me.
did it take you, like, throughout since the time of the accident to go there to
To
assess?
get to a space where I could control
Yeah.
myself, gosh, like 10 years at least. It was ups and downs. Some of it was rapid, and then some of it was a long, drawn out, dark night, and then it would be rapid. And then it would be walking through some of these experiences, witnessing myself execute these new behavioral patterns, this new identity, if you will, that
Mhm.
needed to feed on higher energy rather than lower energy because it was all new to me.
Mhm.
The things that I would start to do for myself because I started to recognize this is filling me up. This is my refilling station. If
Wow.
I ask this, I feel the light enter me and move all the way up into my heart space.
Wow.
If I do this, I feel a lower yuckiness. And it was witnessing the contrast and the differences between my actions. It's like having a light bright in your stomach. When I work on a
A
client, I
Care
can
Bear light
feel,
bright.
yeah,
I love it.
I can feel the different frequencies and kind of whether they feel light or heavy when I'm working on someone.
Right. So would you be able to, like, know just by watching me the type of energy that I'm holding on to?
I could feel it, but I don't know if we want to talk about it right on air.
No, no. We don't have to.
I mean,
I already see
it's
it.
nothing bad, but most people after a while need a cleansing. And I know the frequency I carry because of where I went, what I experienced could
Mhm.
help them cleanse more. That's all.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, it's something that it's a gift that you give as a healer. Your
Right.
Trinity
These
Healing Reiki at gmail.com. If anyone's interested in having a long distance or in person healing, where are you located?
I'm in Thomaston, Connecticut.
Okay. Thomaston, Connecticut.
Once
Um,
I learned I had the authority over all these energies, all these dark energies, and clients started to come to me. And the closer I drew to love as a state of being, that more easily they were defeated. Then I understood um, I could command that to open up in them, and all these other characters, these false characters, would have to go there.
mhm.
It just became an equation.
Mm.
It's the
And so, like,
authority
as you're
given to
as, like,
us.
basically you're unaware in your own innocence of just life, like, kinda like falling and eating a Band-Aid, you know?
Hmm.
This is a different take on it. It's like we just became in the unawareness, which is like, in Buddhism, there's a definite terminology for it, but it's not hitting me right now because I'm getting an energy. But when we enter into that joy state, right,
Hmm.
where our frequency is changing and reapping, we're naturally healing our cellular level. We're naturally healing
Hmm.
our wounds and as you call bondage to things. Um, I think those lower states are there teaching us how to be human and how to not need the band-aid effect, right? Like we can look at
Yeah,
it
the,
and say,
the
okay,
lower self is basically once you go through a certain rite of purification, self acceptance, accountability with the spirit inside you, it's there to teach you after that. That means you don't have to have these long, drawn out, deep depression periods.
hmm,
It gets smaller and smaller and smaller and
mhm.
smaller. And now you're like, oh, I felt that feeling before, no big deal. And you know how to cultivate that light in you again and again. And that's really what our experience is about, is learning all these different feelings and these different characters and deciding what character we want to be. Hopefully it's love.
Right. And so as you're joining in, say, with old relationships that might pop up that, let's say, were not toxic, but like not the greatest, but still like there are still people in your life. Um, can you just sort of reframe your own quantum field while and still enjoying different activities and not affect your quantum field? Or is it
You
better
mean
just to,
activities with that specific person?
or yeah, or no, not the person, but more sustaining the environment, or like let's say it's a club or
Oh yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot easier to sustain in the environment now that I have all my soul pieces back. Now
okay.
that I've gone to the quantum field where I spent my energy and said no, through the singularity of love, through the Christ, I claim all these back to me, and
Mm,
I will process them. Then it's a lot easier to sustain as my whole self rather than fractured, uh, spread out, if you will, like that wagon wheel, where your love in the middle and your spokes are all going out. Um, you're pulling all this stuff back into the now, and it's a lot easier to sustain the vibration of a place, but also knowing yourself. You have to know your identity. I'm an energy of love. I'm also a sovereign being. No frequency is going to sway my emotions, whether it's an argument about race, gender, politics. It's not going to change who I am, and I'm still going to stand for right or wrong, as I feel them
amazing. I love
within
it.
me.
I'm so fed up with it,
Hmm.
like 100 times over,
If this
listening to
doesn't resonate with love, I don't care who you are. You could be the Pope. I'm still going to call you on it if it doesn't resonate with love.
yeah. I have so much appreciation for your knowledge, and so you're accessible for healings one-on-one. Have you ever written a book yet?
I'm actually working on it. I have a ton of different notebooks, things I've written about how I call down the Holy Spirit or pure spirit down through my crown, and then ask love or the Christ, singularity, love, one, Buddha, Krishna, to expand within me, and then God to surround me. And what I've came to understand is that's the image of God we were made in, our higher self. And I see the images and I have so many things written down. I just have to put it together. So it's
It
work in
must be quite
progress.
beautiful to see that because the artist depictions of what the the emanations of the light when Christ achieved it, Buddha achieved it, Krishna, many, many others on the planet have ascended. So,
Yeah, there's a
these,
few in like a prana book that I was reading a long time ago that
mm,
kind of depicted it. But, it's like bring that energy down. It hits the spirit that's already inside you. You ask it to expand, and now you have a higher field of activity and intelligence. You rewire your neural pathways from trauma, things like that.
mm.
Um, yeah, I had something else to add to that, but I got yanked out.
So when you were like from the time that you're healing oneself to
Hmm.
assisting others, and now your daily activity level and continually getting messages, um, do you have yourself on a really good regime? Like, is it a lot of discipline to maintain this?
It's not so much anymore. I would say it really is natural to me now, but for a while I had to make sure I was getting outside. I mean, I still make sure I'm getting outside in nature and I'm doing my breath work and I'm asking, and this is a big key. First, you want to clear yourself, take accountability. Then you want to ask for the light to embody you, and then you want to apply force to the light. You get embodied with light, and then you apply force to the light with your mind. And then the game changes. You start to see how powerful you are with your will, with thought, as far as healing, casting out spirits, whatever it is. As soon
Hmm.
as I believe in this enough, then I know it's going to work. But it became, okay, embody a little light, integrate, embody more light, integrate, process. And then I got to a point to where I was in that neutral motion and I was so clear that, gosh, the expansion felt like an orgasm with your soul, and it was personal, it was intimate, it was me and God. And there
Mm.
was nobody else I needed to go to after that for love. Not a woman, not a man, not a dog, not a cat, not a rat or a bat, you know. But it became me, and I started to see myself inside everything, and I knew I was a part of everything.
Yeah, and Christ spoke about it prevalently that you're not to find, you know, you will not find the commitment of God that what we're experiencing through our eyes, nose, ears, our senses, our bodies connected to nature and the universe, and then what you see. And I've had many of those, what I would say is seeing God
Hmm.
moments, right? And he said it. He said it's not to be found inside of the synagogues and the churches. And
Hmm.
I completely concur with that because knowing and seeing spirit from a young age or having that extraterrestrial ability, then having, as you said, you have accidents and mishaps and near death experiences, and then you come back even stronger, right? Um, it was Kabbalah studies from a Australian shaman group that I was doing when it all clicked for me. And then like what I saw was so extraordinary. It's come back three or four times now.
Hmm.
But it does take like the most beautiful amount of energy just permeating through you to experience it, to see it. It isn't just um it's not just coming from third eye. It's
Hmm.
like it's a complete thing. Like you're not in the moment with other
Yeah,
people.
I came to understand that as I was asking for more light and I was expanding the amount of data or light energy that I could carry. And if I could whittle myself away and move myself out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
the hard-headed Steve,
Oh,
if I could, the more I moved him out of the way, the more I was embodied. And then
beautiful.
I just wanted to be close to that and share that because no human on the earth can give you the approval to be you. No human on the earth can fill you because they're still trying to fill themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped looking for to humans for approval, and just started looking to this mirror that existed within me
Oh,
based on what it created. Okay, how do I feel when I create that, or when I do that, or when I think of that person that way? How does that make me feel?
changes your whole day.
Right. And then that was that intimate, no separation with God. The more separation I caused, the less I would feel. The more clogged up my neural activity would get in my
Mm.
nervous system, the further I'd be from God. So I had to start learning how to process that separation and get back. And I think it was a journey of learning to go there, then
Hmm.
go here, go here, go here, go here until you could do it easy,
Yeah.
till you're
And
not bound up by this lower energy or
you
taken
know,
up by the
no
light and
longer
you're
holding it.
right.
Is there a point where, because I'm seeing from my mind's eye as I'm like considering how to do these rituals more, that you could almost see it like I was seeing light bulbs being taken out of a school, like gymnasium, like something of this nature. I don't know why I was seeing this, but there was like a tremendous amount of it. Like it's a never ending light.
Right. And you want to make sure, again, the charges you create in your nervous system and store in your nervous system are the light of your aura, are the light of your consciousness, and controlling that and cultivating that and just watching it. Like, am I going to want to eat out of this garden? If I plant my food of thoughts here, is it going to grow anything good?
Mm.
It's a garden. It's a sacred garden, and you're feeding your soul with it by the thoughts you plant, the actions you plant there.
Yeah, and we get our gratefulness that pops up for our bodies and our properties and our lives and our spirit and our presence and our wellness and our transforming. It's like a continuous circuit.
And service became really big too. I didn't mention service to humanity. And I found that through working with the elderly who had Alzheimer's and dementia.
Mm.
And when nobody was around, I got to witness, because this was during a hard point where I had gone through all that turmoil in the dark night. I'd left my family for another woman because I thought, okay, I'm supposed to be with this person, blah, blah, blah. No, I was supposed to be with myself for a while. And I understood that. Now I value it. But as I'm going through this and I feel so broken and lonely and worthless, I
Hmm.
got to witness how much I meant to all these different people and what my character and my heart really was. It wasn't what he said, it wasn't what she said, it wasn't what anybody said, it was what I was doing. So,
Yeah, and you're bringing that wonderfulness into life and you're expanding it through your chest, through your heart chakra, through your
yeah,
mind.
the helper's high. They studied this, I think, in
Wow.
1980s, and it was shown that you have uh, a lot of neural activity after helping someone.
Wow.
You help someone, you don't ask anything for it, and you go on your way and you feel this lightness enter you. And to me, that became God, and I started to chase it. And I was like, I
Mm.
want more of that. I started to thirst for it. Whatever this
Wow.
feeling is, like, I didn't know what God was. I never went to church. It was never told to me, hey, God's this or that. I
Mhm.
could tell by feeling what it was. And it was love.
You're
I knew
filling
that.
yourself from the source that is imbalanced because everything's a negative positive charge. So you're actually filling yourself with the
Hmm.
positive. Because we know there's so many manifestations of poverty thinking, poverty consciousness, which is just a consciousness. It's a series of thoughts people have about reality that not allows them to feel worthy enough to continually quote unquote keep up with that matrix, right?
Hmm.
So we reframe it and then we do what we want with it and we take our hidden talents and abilities, our disabilities become abilities, and then we can share those things with other people, which allows for a sense of positive compassionate expression.
Hmm. And I firmly believe we are here to trigger the dark, to come out, to show itself, to heal itself.
Yeah, you were
Um,
saying last time that you like getting in there and triggering on it and
I like being a
calling it
button
out.
pusher sometimes, but I like being a button pusher in the right situations, in the right way,
Yeah.
where people think because you wear a certain kind of clothes, because you have a certain title,
Hmm.
that they have a clean heart. That's not the case. We see it with doctors, teachers, lawyers, politicians, police officers. No matter the training, no matter the degrees, it's not gonna be enough if your heart's not clean. So that's what I like to do. I like to reveal the heart.
Yeah, and then as you're doing that, that just becomes that emetic energy that fills the whole chest line, and it just echoes and it just feels so good in here right now for me
Mm-hmm.
as we're doing this even. Um, Another thing that I found really interesting you brought up was doing the way that you mentioned doing some inner child work was uh, the thinking and asking to understand what love, joy, excitement, innocence, and
Mm-hmm.
peace. Would you like to further expand on that for a moment?
Sure, I was given that exercise basically by the beings of light I met during my first NDE that I came to know as Elohim. And it was just through a series and nonstop confirmations and synchronicities. And I denied a lot of this stuff. I was the biggest until I couldn't deny it anymore. It was all day, every day. Either I was crazy or this is really happening. So they gave me this inner child exercise. Basically, we're connecting the charges of our neurons through the biophotons and we're getting them back and we're sending them. We're getting them back, and this is refilling us. It's a refilling station. So, what I do regularly, you can do it in nature, you can do it whenever you need an uplifting feeling. I ask my inner child to become present within me,
Hmm.
and I thank you. I ask my inner child to show me what love feels like. Thank you. I ask my inner child to show me what excitement feels like. And you're feeling these feelings through a child's eyes, how a child feels them, how you feel to be 17 years old and you're going out on a Friday night. And all these innocent feelings that we've missed for so long. I ask my inner child to show me what joy feels like. Thank you. I ask my inner child to show me what innocence feels like. Thank you. And I ask my inner child to show me what purity feels like. Thank you. And we'll go back to I ask my inner child to show me what love feels like. Thank you. And you can practice different feelings. Show me this, show me that, show me this. And this helps our nervous system remember in a safe space how to feel. Because we stop feeling after a while and we become numb as a natural go through society and I want to protect myself. Protecting yourself is not about shielding all the incoming feelings. It's about having control over your processor because some of these feelings are going to make it past and you want to be able to discern them and you can't discern them if you're closed off.
Yeah,
But
we
we
have Sherry Daniels just arrived. She popped in the chat. She's just saying hello from Ontario, Canada.
hello from Connecticut, USA.
I'm here too, Sherry. I think we know each other. Sherry, if you want, I can pull a card for you if you're present. Just let me know if you want me to pull a card. I can definitely do a little reading for you. We're probably going to be here for another maybe, what, a couple of minutes most?
Yeah, at least.
Okay. We'll see if she has a response or not. So,
Then I could say a closing prayer that will hopefully help with any
yeah, well, why
healing,
don't I just do
connection,
it?
things
Yeah,
like
I'll
that.
just, Sherry, if you're out there, I'm just going to do a little reading. I can call it a collective. I can call it a collective reading for the evening. And we'll go that route with this so that we can get an understanding of maybe where we want to put our focus and intention and intend on clearing our quantum field.
Sure.
Okay. And here we go. Yeah, I found the gentleness of that approach to the inner child was just phenomenal.
And there's programming involved too, because like I mentioned earlier, we're like a computer. You want to reprogram yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
you want to do it with a sense of knowing. I am love for one as an energy. Nobody can take that away from me unless I let them. And if I let them, then there's a lesson there for me. But reprogramming your mind, your subconscious is powerful.
Yeah, because what you're going to bring down, the cards are saying, is a lot of preparation is going to have to be intact in order to keep up with your vibrational frequency. So preparing more sacredness within your home and around you is really vital. But that, like, you're bringing yourself right to the well watcher, which the well watcher knows everything and steadily, continually is in that divine wisdom, but you're actually approaching it for the first time. So,
Right, and you're trying to build these connection points, and what I see is like connection points around me where this field starts to be generated, and the more of those connection points you make, the more solidified your higher self is in that
mhm,
heavenly space, because we can have heaven or hell while we're here, you know?
and we can have whatever connection we so choose because it's our right to choose. And
Hmm.
like you had said earlier, is what is binding to you, you get to command. So
Yeah,
it's
if you have an impulse to repeat a certain pattern of behavior, that's
yes.
what to address. Any impulse that you are serving the impulse instead of you deciding to participate, then that's bondage. That's a part of your personality that's bonding
Mhm.
you to a certain pattern of behavior to deal with a feeling.
Yeah,
And that's
because
what you
it's
want to look
affecting
at.
you. When the spiral dancer is upside down, yeah, it's like you're on a negative aspect of your own perception, and it's sort of like a route of passage that you continue on. And if you're in the more positive aspect of it, it's like dancing your own dance of life. But if you're just doing it through this bondage of self-hatred, self-loathing, self sabotage due to
Yeah.
trauma, right?
I feel like I'm basically, well, ever since coming through this and finding that level of consciousness within myself, which took a lot of humbleness. You have to go through that period too, where you're humble yourself continually.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm in a video game now. I feel like I'm in some sort of Minecraft where I can create the character I want, and then I'm playing him from a controller. You know?
Yeah, we are. It's I love the Minecraft idea. So it is what it is. Definitely getting down to handling, like looking at what really is there, being present, staying in the here and now moment, even if the here and now moment is distracting or teaching you something, it's trying to
Hmm.
remain present and not judge it and offer it love because you're going to get into the healing with the heart with this. So your heart is going to start doing the activity levels and you're going to loosen the power and the grip of the subconscious mind or your reaction to what's happening. And then you'll find it's this is an interesting one, birds of a feather. So you'll find yourself in different spaces of reality, whether you're looking to do more divine mediumship or spiritual work that's that deep, or whether it's a change in job. Or so when you start doing more personal work and you start releasing these tundrils, these negative occurrences and personality disturbances that come with it, you get to open up to different opportunities to be around new people and new opportunities that will probably highlight, more positivity in your life. It could be birds of a feather could be literally what it is. It could be an outdoor experience as well, right? It all depends on what makes you happy.
Yeah. It's basically focused on clearing your interference, because, like I was saying before, we're all tuners. If you buy a really good radio, it probably tunes in radio stations better because it has more watts. You
Yeah.
want to increase the access to your own energy that's being stolen in all these different places.
It may if you make your energy field increase so well that disease just starts just becoming a non-issue and you feel like sharing more, maybe even going out and doing some good work with humanity. So for our last note, I choose to learn through love.
That's a good one.
I really love this deck. This is the universe has your back.
And understanding that you're deserving of feeling that feeling. That's why you practice between yourself and the quantum field. The more you feel that feeling and it becomes you, the more you will not sacrifice yourself to people who do not treat you that way. The more you will attract that into your life. But have that intimate relationship with God, the quantum field, by yourself, you know?
And then see what you actually want to attract after you're alleviating, like after you're actually getting the aha moments of the wow, like, oh my God, look how immaculate this creation is. There's like a sun, a moon, and stars, and all this whole animation completely being played out before your eyes, like a
Mm-hmm.
gift, right? And when I'm embracing it and I'm feeling it, Emily Carr spoke about it too. It feels like a continual epiphany because it's just so immaculately, interestingly linked together, and grown together through molecule after molecule of experience.
Hmm.
Like, wow, our creator, the creator, is just incredible.
And be thankful, like not in a cliche way, but understand I have the power to create this in my mind and refill myself with a certain kind of energy. I thank the trees. I thank the land. I thank the water. I thank the food, and do it in a peace and a stillness where you really mean it, as opposed to not mean it,
Hmm.
and that will come back into you, and you will start to feel that for yourself.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
new fuel. It's the new fuel.
right?
Anybody who knows about getting off screen and getting into activities, they're definitely in a higher state of consciousness when they're making that decision. So, Steve, I want to thank you for a wonderful evening.
Thank
I
you.
hope
We
our
didn't even we
viewers,
didn't even get into aliens or anything, so maybe
not
next
yet.
time.
So, hey, you know what? Let's do it another evening sometime for
That'd be
sure.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, and I thank the divine for your presence. It definitely has been more than I kind of thought. That was just amazing. Wow.
Yeah, sometimes when I talk, it just gets going and gets going.
Yeah, the story is incredible, and I'm really glad that you're working on that book. I think that that's like so opportune. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you. I forgot to include how I actually figured out I had the healing was by accident. A woman fell outside of my store, and I put my hand on her, and this was before I knew anything. And she had no pain after that, which she was in pain. And she said, "I'm all warm." And I told you this. I went back to my desk and I said, "What the hell just happened?" That
Hmm.
was the first time I figured out I had some kind of healing energy. But anyway, forgot to include that.
Yeah, so let's do it again. We'll do it again next week or sometime. We'll see how your schedule fits,
Sounds good.
and we'll just make it part two. How about that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and enjoy your evening, y'all. Take care and be blessed. Bye for now.